Too sweet! Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's the way you can find our personal Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. Thank you for watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you like to listen on SoundCloud, how do people do it?
SoundCloud.com/JD Sports Show.
All right, Dwight. So, we got a lot to get into this week. We're going NBA. I'm just going to do a little, very quick hockey. Not going to be anything extra, just going to be very small. I'd like to shout out to Jeter, too, at some point. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My blue and gold have been in the news for some reason, so we'll talk about that.
Man.
We have a topic on the NFL that we both get pretty deep into at times. We'll get there. As I said, we're going to start off with the NBA today.
Okay.
I feel like to catch us back up to speed, we'll just go with the West. The West. We'll start with the West. Mm-hmm. Last time we talked, it was right before Game 6, I believe, of the San Antonio-Houston series. Golden State was seeing who they were going to play. James Harden did not show up in that. Yeah. Now,
who?
The one thing I would like to say.
Is he the MVP? Is that who? Some guy that was the MVP? Who?
They did it without Kawhi Leonard as well. They beat him by, 25 without Kawhi?
Without Tony Parker, without Tim Duncan. Basically, you might as well say without Ginobili at this point.
Ginobili had a good Game 6 where they won by 25.
That was the funniest thing in the world. Yeah. Shout out to the Rockets. They suck.
Look, you can't judge
at home
his best game as his whole career, and you can't judge his worst game as his whole career. So I'm not going to say this one game defines everything about James Harden. Like, a lot of people were just trying to define James Harden off one playoff game. He was the only reason they were even at a Game 6 against San Antonio. I do understand that you'd like him to come up bigger as your superstar. There's without question. I mean, that's obvious. But he didn't. It wasn't good. This is San Antonio that we're talking about. This is Popovich that everyone loves. This is all these things. But bottom line is, I mean, he didn't have a point until halfway through the second quarter. He didn't take a shot until halfway through the second quarter, something like that. He was deferring a lot. For a guy who could put up 40 on almost any given night, you don't want to see that. Even if he wasn't hitting a shot, you would have liked to at least seen him take a couple shots to see if he was hitting a shot. Yeah. So you couldn't even blame him on that. All right, so
that comes down to effort.
Well, I don't disagree. Do you have more on them? Because I mean, I wanted to just.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the Harden situation is hilarious because literally, like I just said, he came down to effort in that game, and he gave zero effort in that game. Like, it's one thing if he went out there and it was just like, wow, he really had a bad game. That sucks. That's horrible. Do better. But he just went out there and just had a bad game as far as just not even trying. Like, he wasn't giving a shit. Like, and it was just like, do you
I don't
realize
disagree that when they basically got down between 8 and
at home
12 points, he basically, you could just see it in his demeanor, and the next thing you know, they're down 22, and it was it. I mean, that was, but like when they were down between 8 and I'd say 12 points, you could start to see him kind of. And that was early in the first. That was middle of the first quarter. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then next thing you know, by the middle of the second quarter, they're down almost 22 points, and he doesn't have a basket.
Yeah. He was out there being James Harden in the playoffs.
But he carried them just a couple years ago to the Western Conference Finals and lost to Golden State. He carried them the whole way through this entire playoffs to this point.
And in the biggest moments, he falters.
But it was just one game. I mean, the rest of his playoffs were actually pretty good.
One game just destroyed the entire season.
I understand. And if they win, do they win Game 7? Or they say they win that game. They go back to San Antonio. Kawhi comes back and probably beats them. Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a way and there's a possibility that they could win. And this was supposedly the year that they were stacked. Oh, look at this offense. Look what D'Antoni did.
I feel like this is a better team than the one that went to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, right. And everybody assumed and still would say, most people still said the next day, was that they're on paper a better team than the Spurs, and this was the year that they were supposed to compete with Golden State. And we can sit here and be like, oh, is it really going to happen? Are they really going to beat the Warriors? Are they really going to beat LeBron?
But do you think they're better than San Antonio? I don't think they're better.
Roster-wise, yeah.
Really?
Up and down. Yeah, they have more depth, absolutely.
I think they have more depth. I honestly think San Antonio has more talent, though, when Kawhi's on the floor. Now, when Kawhi's off the floor the way that happened, I didn't think San Antonio had 20-plus more points talent. I'll give you that. But I think Aldridge played, Aldridge had 34 in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he
like 34 and 12 out here looking like Shaq.
He balled out. Like there's still, I still think the more talent is the other way. I just think that you're right. The talent spread deeper through Houston. But the X factor. I mean, look, I'm not a hater on D'Antoni the way you are. But I also don't think D'Antoni can D'Antonio, whatever his name is. I don't think that he can ever outcoach Pop anytime. Look, he's 0-5 against Pop in playoff series. That's for a reason. Pop Pop's a better coach than most people. I mean, that's so. I think there's more things to it than just James Harden had one bad game and we're going to blame the entire Houston Rockets season as a failure because of James Harden one bad game. While I agree, biggest game of the season, while I agree, you want your superstar to show up, I don't want to base their entire season off of that. I feel like they still had a good season, he still had a good season. And honestly, everyone is playing for second or third right now. I know you said that, we don't know if they don't beat Golden State. I understand. I do hear you, but at the same time, what has everyone been complaining about since preseason? We already know what the finals is. Let's just get to the finals, right? Right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, how much faith do you really have in it, even if he shows up and has 40 points that game and then shows up and has 35 in the Game 7, and then what happens? They go to Golden State and most likely lose in 5 or 6?
I don't know, but to me, it came down to that. To me, it's a failure of a season. When they go out in that fashion, to me, it's a failure of the season. And I think it was a failure on their fan base. I feel like their fans should have booed them out of the building for that lack of
their
show
fans
up.
Before the middle of the fourth quarter were gone.
But then those who were remaining were clapping them off the court. It's like, are you kidding me?
All right, now the other side of this is because I'm with you.
Boo them out the building.
I am with you on Super Bowl or bust.
Stupid.
I am with you on Super Bowl or bust, on championship or bust, on everything and bust. But yes or no? Was this the best season in Houston Rockets history? Probably. I'm not history because I mean in the last like 15 years. History, obviously, they won a championship in the 90s. I'm talking like maybe go from like the Yao Ming era, right before the Yao Ming era. Like you include that into this. Is this this is better than the Yao Ming era?
Probably, which is why it comes up as a failure when you go out in that capacity.
But they were supposedly world beaters.
I
meant on the side of, if you look at the success that they've had more success in the last 2 years, in the last 3 years. They had more success this particular season than they most likely did throughout the entire Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming era.
That's cool.
Well, as a fan, I mean, if you've been watching so much losing basketball, you're going to at least appreciate a team getting you to that point, and hopefully they can build off of it, because as a fan, they have to be thinking you have a future to build off of it. I agree. I think Golden State is still going to be the supreme team going down the road. I still think San Antonio will still have Popovich, and that means no matter what, they are always going to be a top team that's probably going to be at least a pest in the side of the Rockets. You look at the Grizzlies, you look at, there's obviously up-and-coming teams in the Western Conference as well. I mean, the Grizzlies have another year run with that roster that they have together. So I hear you, but at the same time, I look at it from the other side. I understand the appreciation that they had for him because they haven't seen good basketball, honestly, or as good as basketball as they've expected or seen before.
They made it to the Western Conference Finals, 2 years ago?
That was all off the back of Harden. But he doesn't get held. He doesn't get held for his best days, but we hold him down for his worst days.
At some point, when are y'all gonna get over this San Antonio thing? Like. Literally, this was the year to do it. This was the year to do it.
I think that was Golden State they lost to in the Western Conference Finals. The year that Golden State won the championship against Cleveland, that was the year I'm pretty sure that the Rockets went to the Western Conference Finals. But I think they lost to San Antonio last year in the playoffs. So I understand.
Embarrassing.
Moving on to Game 1, San Antonio, Golden State. Can we just before we talk about the game itself? We always have big beefs with these major leagues.
No.
The NHL, my biggest beef with them right now is they ignore concussions exist. My thing with the NFL, they decide they just don't want to play defense anymore and they can't figure out what a catch is. My thing with the MLB is they have no clue how to speed their game up or make young people watch it. And
nope.
My problem with the NBA happens to be they make their playoffs entirely too long. I was looking at the schedule of the series before the series started. They play Sunday.
Yep.
Game 1. Tuesday, Game 2. Dwight, do you know when Game 3 is?
Saturday. I heard that, and about do something. Yeah. Right, yeah, I know.
Golden State just didn't play for a week and a half.
You know what's bad?
Right, now they're playing 2 games in 8 days?
Yeah, right. They
6
were
days?
saying the Cavaliers just had 9 days off.
And the Cavaliers are going to play 2 games and then have 4 days off.
I don't follow. I mean, you know what's messed up too is that the whole, which it's kind of in the same realm as that when they had that Game 7 for the Eastern Conference, and then they already
had Game 1 of the Western Conference.
Right. But you know why they did that though? Like I literally sat and I was like, why the hell would they do that? And I literally sat and thought about it. And then when I finally came up with my answer, I was just like, wow, really? Like that? Because I get it, but it's at the same time in that moment, it's just stupid. Because they wanted, obviously, they didn't want a space in between the conference games. They wanted it every other. So you got Tuesday, then you're going to have Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever. But apparently that's not going to be the case because now you got, what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday? I don't know.
So you'll have Tuesday, Wednesday,
okay,
Friday,
Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, then Golden State plays.
Okay.
And then I don't think it's till Tuesday the next week that Cleveland plays. And
right.
Wednesday would be Golden State.
I think they did it this way just to eliminate the gap. Yeah,
I understand.
Right.
And now there's only one day off in between, or there's only 2 days off in between the next 7 days then.
Yeah, I mean, we've been complaining about this. This scheduling crap is just absolutely atrocious.
But 4 days between a game in a series is entirely... I mean, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then Saturday. Like, you have literally 4 full days and then Saturday night they play.
And it's not even the NBA Finals where you got teams traveling coast to coast. They're in the same time zone.
They're in the West. Well, they're not in the same. I think they're an hour difference or maybe 2 hour difference.
Right. Probably an hour.
I don't know what San Antonio is. I don't know if they're Midwest or Mountain Time. But either way.
I'm pretty sure it will
either way. They're probally Mountain Time. So, an hour. You're looking at an hour.
Really? Like, they need 3 days to recover for that. Like, I don't follow.
So.
That's stupid.
That's my beef with the NBA. Anyways, talking about Game 1 itself.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Before the series started, I thought, Golden State, best roster I've ever seen put together on paper easily. Maybe the best team of all time when they play, their best games. Just going, I'm thinking, 5, maybe 6 games, because I give Pop respect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't give them enough respect. They were up 20+ at one point in the third. They came out firing. Now, is it part of Golden State was rusty?
Yeah.
Because I think that had a lot to do with it.
That's kind of what I was about to say. I mean, I feel like he had so many days off. I mean,
yes, I felt the same way.
It's almost expected. I mean, the Cavaliers,
but
I would expect it to be the same way with the Cavaliers.
20, and I know San Antonio is that good of a team to be able to do that.
Right.
But to go down 20, I mean, Golden State, never expected that team to ever be down 20+ in a basketball game.
And if they would have lost in that capacity, man,
that would have been insane. Now, if Kawhi doesn't get hurt, there's a good chance that that's what happens.
That's probably exactly what's happening.
Exactly. Steph Curry stealing the ball down like 18 and then draining the 3. That started kind of the tidal wave of San Antonio. Kind of got on alert. San Antonio kept it between 15 and like 25 for another 10 minutes of that game. But, I mean, that was like all right, we really got to pay attention. You could just see it was climbing. Next thing you know, it's a 10-point game with like 4 minutes to go in the third. And the next thing you know, it's almost a tie game going into the fourth.
That's the word.
That is, I mean, they can score 40. They scored 39 in the third quarter.
Right.
That's incredible. Kevin Durant had probably one of his best playoff games of all time. Side note with Kevin Durant, I just got into a fun little debate with a couple people the other night. They love Russell Westbrook, and I like Russell Westbrook, but I didn't like Russell Westbrook until he wasn't with Kevin Durant, because every single game that I would watch Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant play together, I was pulling my hair out saying, just give the ball to Kevin Durant. That was the Kevin Durant that I thought that Oklahoma City could have actually won a title with, instead of Russ going 12 for 40 on half those nights and taking the ball out of his hands. You have I thought the Warriors showed perfectly exactly how you need to play Kevin Durant in these situations with stars around him. Curry still had 40. So, there is a way to make Kevin Durant look like the best player on the floor and run your offense completely through him and still get your point guard, what Russell Westbrook was, 40 points. Now, I get that Russell Westbrook can't shoot the 3 as well as Curry. So, his 40 is more like 30 or 25. But you could still get 38 from KD, 25 from him, and then spread it out to the rest of Oklahoma City, that they would have been an unstoppable force if they could have, or if Russ could have at least just changed his demeanor. And part of the thing that people love about Russ, and that I personally love about Russ, is he has that Allen Iverson mentality that it's me and the basketball. And if we get the basketball, chances are he's not going to let go of it. That is part of his charm. I'm not going to disagree with that. But it got us into a really fun debate about, and which we'll probably get into at some point, and you might even agree with me, so it might not be a debate, but a good conversation about free agents and wanting to play with him. I don't think anyone's going to want to play with Russ because they have 8 years of evidence of Kevin Durant, who is a better basketball player than anybody who's going to be a free agent anytime soon, never getting basketball with Russell Westbrook. So, different conversation, different day. This game, game one particular. Kevin Durant looked really good, obviously, third quarter, fourth quarter. Westbrook looked really good third quarter, fourth quarter. I thought Klay Thompson... yeah, what did I say? yeah, of course. I thought Klay Thompson played really, really good defensively down the stretch. He had a big block in the corner for three. I forget who took the three. That really swayed. It was like a 3-point game. I think it was like 88, 85 or something like that at the time. He had a really big block early in the fourth that really swayed things. So the thing that everybody's been talking about, because we could break down the game itself and the comeback of 25 points and whatever. Without question, the biggest part of this game is Zaza.
Okay.
Possibly Jalen Rosing.
Yeah.
Kawhi, who already had a pretty bad ankle, who already hurt it on a absolutely no question not dirty play because there was no physical contact happening. He just landed on it wrong. So he was already limping from it. He wouldn't look at the bench to get himself out of the game. They took him out for about a minute after that anyways. He comes back in, still limping and stuff. So you put him in that situation as a team, as a coach, as an organization, whatever. This is, that's the risk. Like that is the risk that you took.
Yeah. That's sports. That's competitiveness. That's football.
Yes.
That's kind of just what
Yes.
It's just.
But when we just had the conversation about the amount of days off in between, look, it makes sense to rest him. Yeah, rest is the only thing to get your ankle better ever.
He was rested though. That was the thing, and he was better
from
up
game
until
6 before.
up until that point.
Until he rolled it the first time. I agree.
Right, and he's out here balling out. So I don't. But I don't know. Do I think he should have been back out there? He looked fine up until the second one. But you don't assume that that's going to happen twice in the game. Especially it was within a minute or two of him coming back out, and it was like, damn, how the hell? What do you do? Like, how does that happen twice in a row? And
the first one was him stepping on his own player's ankle, right?
And it happens, yeah.
Because he was going backwards.
Yeah, too close, yeah.
I'll just ask you flat out. Dirty?
No, I just have to go with dirty because it wasn't my first reaction. That's been everybody's reaction once the game was over and beyond.
After Pop.
Right.
Went off
and
the way you did.
Even so.
We'll get into that.
No, but even after the game, Jalen came out on the show and was saying, it was a dirty play and he's a...
Yeah, I saw that.
But I don't... No, that wasn't my immediate thought. I thought it was extra and it wasn't necessary. He shouldn't have done it. I don't know if he... I don't know. Because when I've watched it so many times and the more I watch it, the more...
You think he might be... You don't know. He might be...
the more I'm watching it, the more I'm saying, I just don't know if he purposely was trying to do that. Or like TNT was talking about it. Is he just that damn clumsy? Because he just, I don't know. That extra step is just kind of iffy with me. It's so in the moment. I'm not sure. And if he did it on purpose, then yeah, he's a dick for it. But
here's my thing:
I consider it dirty in the moment? No. Do I think it's dirty now? No, because I get it. Because that's the best player. I get it. And if I was a Warriors fan, and I'd probably be like, hell yes, that's great. Take him out. But I don't know.
He was crowding the shooter. There is something... There needs to be some kind of protection about them coming down.
Yes, definitely. It was that extra step.
It was called a foul.
It was the extra step.
I agree with you that I didn't necessarily think it was dirty either, but you know what the genius of Popovich is he planted in everyone's head about the amount of other times that Zaza... Yeah. But he went extra. I understand that, but he went extra into it, and
as he should.
So, but I think that started to sway people's thoughts on it because then you see the replay a million times, and then you start thinking, did he have to take that extra step? Look, I think personally, it's somewhere between.
I don't think
he intended on maybe just looking away, and if Kawhi comes down on him, then Kawhi comes down on him, and it happens, and he was just trying to crowd the shooter. I think it's. I don't think it's he was trying to hurt him. I think it was as much as I was just trying to make a little contact and scare him.
Right, maybe.
And he was already an injured player type thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he was trying to have him come down on his foot. I think he was trying to make contact with him in the air.
He just looks bad because of his reputation, quote unquote, and two.
And he's done things too specifically Kawhi.
Right, yeah, well, yeah. And 3, he'd even, like, when it happened and went down, he'd even look at Kawhi whatsoever. He kept it going, like it was nothing. Like, that did just happen.
He just kept running.
He didn't look down at his foot even. It was like, oh, ow, nothing. He just kept it going like it was nothing.
But if it was planned out, then part of us all agree that he would just be a good actor in that sense.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd probably lean towards it was a dirty play than I would say it wasn't.
I think his intent was to rub him. I don't think his intent was to injure him.
All right, maybe. But
he just kind of knew there was a 50-50 chance, maybe. Look, I don't know. But and only he knows, honestly. Only he will ever know.
If I was a Spurs fan, I'd probably be livid. I don't know.
It got a topic going over the next couple days after that about Popovich, the way he went on his rant. I think part of the charm, I would say, I guess, not to use that again, but charm of Popovich is he goes to bat for his players like crazy. No duh, he defended Bruce Bowen when Bruce Bowen was most likely doing the same thing. Like, I agree, it was hypocritical of him to say, he was defending his player at that time, and no duh, with a history of his one player trying to be purposely injured by this player who did now actually injure him, no duh he's going to go to bat with him and be over extra about it. My thing is I think what people miss, because a lot of people I've seen over the last couple of days, I've never heard so much backlash against Pop. A lot of people, especially Monday and Tuesday afterwards, I've heard so much, people just saying he's this, he's fake, he's that, he's over the top, and blah, blah, blah. My thing is, even when people don't like that he talks about politics and stuff, right? My thing with him talking about the politics is, I don't know, I'm not saying he doesn't believe in what he's saying. My thing is, it doesn't matter if he believes in what he's saying, because he's saying things that he knows the players are going to like. That's a recruiting tactic. Him going off like this in the media is a recruiting tactic. It is a way to get guys like LaMarcus Aldridge to come play for him. Because guess what? LaMarcus Aldridge's like, wait, he's not afraid to speak his mind about against politics that I agree with. Wait, he's not afraid to go tell the media to shove it and tell these other players to shove it when they hurt me. No, you know what I mean? And Kerr did the same thing when it came to the politics thing. Again, I'm not saying they don't believe in these things, because I personally probably they do. But my thing is it doesn't help them recruiting wise, and I think that's why they are extra. That's why Popovich goes this far. I think people miss that kind of stuff when it comes to it. We're like, Belichick doesn't care. He doesn't care what players he has in his locker room, so Belichick doesn't have to go extra. But every other coach in America is in the sense of, just like these college coaches, recruiting 24/7, no matter if you're at the pro level, if you're at the high school level, if you're at the Pee Wee level. You are doing something to try to make everyone else, the good players, see that you are a good coach and hopefully want to play for you. So people who don't like Popovich for that, they're just not. I feel like they missed that step. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I've heard a lot of backlash over the last 2 days of it. I've also heard the praise of Pop, where if Pop's saying that he's a dirty player, then he's a dirty player, which I don't think that's necessarily true either. It's as with everything.
I don't know. I haven't heard any of the backlash. All I heard, and it's more so the opposite of people. And I get it, because he is who he is and he's done what he's done successfully. Yeah. But I think it's kind of extra in the sense that it's just like, it's Pop.
I've heard that as well.
He's pretty much he's said he's like treated like a god, but he's like the messiah of basketball. And they just let him, and whatever he does is just like, it's cool because it's him. Which I don't know. If he can do it, then I can do it if I'm a coach, or you can do it, or the Grizzlies coach can do it when he was mad.
Where I was going was, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's somewhere of he's not that, but he's not as bad as people make him out to be. I think it's dead smack in the middle.
And I think he's right where he's supposed to be.
And I think when it comes to basketball itself, he is a genius at that. So that is his job to do.
Right. I have no issue with what he said.
Moving forward in the series, Kawhi's not going to play Game 2. Chances are that would mean he'll play the rest of the series, or at least you would think Game 3, because his ankle will be at least better by then. It's still only sprained; it was never broken yet. So ice and all that, they think by at least Game 3 he should be back to where he was before Game 1 there. I mean, the Spurs, I'm not saying they can't do it without Kawhi, because I saw them beat Houston, who I find to be a legitimate team, by 25 without Kawhi. So I think they have an opportunity to at least stay in the game.
I don't know.
I don't think they win, though. If you go down 0-2, I don't think there's a chance to win the series then.
No, they definitely need Kawhi out here. I mean, I don't know.
Do you think they need to go 1-1, though, to have a chance to win the series? Do you think they need to take one on the road? One of the first 2 games on the road? Because they can just come back and take Game 5 on the road. So not necessarily just taking a game on the road. I think it's important to take one of the first 2 games on the road for their psyche and for the chance of I don't think you can get behind 3-2 in the series and win. I don't think you can get down 3-1 in the series and win. I think you have to be up 2-1 in the series.
I don't know. I just don't know if the Warriors would drop 2 playoff games back to back. Regardless if they're on the road or not.
Right.
I just don't.
But I'm saying, do you think San Antonio needs to take one on the road to win the series?
That's what I'm saying. They probably do need to.
Yeah.
Need to get at least one of them.
Because you can't go down 2 games.
Right, and you'd assume that Golden State, it's Golden State, you would assume that they have the ability to come on your court any day and take at least one, if not both of them, away from you. So yeah, I don't think day two. I don't think game 2 is a dire situation, but it's all but.
It almost makes it impossible to come out of. I agree.
It's just difficult, especially without Kawhi. Like they need to pray to the basketball gods and to Popovich or whoever the hell that he is good to go.
Do you think
at least by 3 at the latest?
Do you think if pregame game 2, there was just some guy like 15, 20 rows up in a nice, I don't know, let's say a button-up T-shirt, just sitting there, having himself a beer, watching shoot around, and one of the assistant coach walked up and just said, "Hey, you're the head coach tonight for the Golden State Warriors." Do you think the Golden State Warriors can still win?
Yeah.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Isn't this just that is so impressive what they are doing? And I like that Kerr was in the locker room, and I thought it was actually really cool. One of my favorite part about the NBA is the access that they do give you, and he was being genuinely coaching there without thinking a camera was on him. He knew a camera was on him, but without I thought that was really cool what they showed in the locker room of him doing that. And they were down 25 when they did that, and they ended up winning the game. So what he said had some kind of impact, you would think.
It wasn't Mike Brown. Just saying. Just saying. I don't care what his record was with whoever his name is.
I like the Mike Brown, Steve Kerr, and Popovich connection. Did you see the little thing that they did on that? I thought that was really cool. I knew that, but I thought I didn't put it together in that necessarily sense. I knew that Mike Brown knew Kerr from the Spurs days, but I didn't necessarily triangle it all the way that happened. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. How now we're in a series of that.
I just can't stand Mike Brown for thousands of reasons that are so obvious.
I don't dislike Mike Brown.
Well, he coached up LeBron during those days.
I was gonna say,
he came over to the Lakers and stunk out the joint. So yeah,
two Laker greats.
I have every reason not to like this man.
2 Laker greats: Tyronn Lue and Mike Brown, coach LeBron.
Okay. Not Mike Brown. Byron Scott. He
that's true. Yeah, 3 Laker greats.
Right. Yeah, and that was a bad situation.
Tyronn Lue being the greatest of them all, though. I think Golden State easily wins the series. Honestly,
I don't think it's easily. No, I'm not gonna say it's easily. Unless Kawhi's out for the rest of the series, then yeah, I'd put that label on it. But if Kawhi comes back, even if it's 3 and they're down and they're up 2-0, I still don't think it's gonna be easy. I still think San Antonio's gonna be competing out there.
All right.
Just because of it's just who they are. Like it doesn't matter who they're facing, they always compete.
So, outside of the fresh suit that Popovich was wearing for Game 1, the creamy suit, did you see that? I thought he was looking fresh that day. Outside of that, you have anything else to talk about with the West? No? All right.
No.
So, speaking of the West, we had a Game 7 between Utah and the Clippers to see who would just get absolutely demolished by Golden State.
Did we talk about this already?
Well, there was another Game 7 between 2 teams that basically mirrored that because they're going to just get demolished by Cleveland, whoever won that Game 7. It was between Boston and Washington.
I see what you did there.
Neither team won a game on the road over the last 10 times they met dating back to last year's regular season.
Right.
They both worn black to the other team's building. Now, it only worked for one of those teams. Boston lost the one that they wore black to. John Wall, in Game 6... had a bad first half, came out, scored 23 in the second half, game-winning shot.
Yep.
It was disgusting. It was went to the scorer's table, did the whole, you know what I mean, just showing the tats. He had DC behind him. Came out in Game 7. For 3 quarters, John Wall looked like the only basketball player Washington had. Bradley Beal was doing his thing here and there, but for 3 quarters, John Wall was balling out. Isaiah was doing his thing on the other side. It was a pretty good back and forth. We got to the 4th quarter. It went from Isaiah Thomas and John Wall battling to Bradley Beal. All right, I can deal with that. That's another superstar we're talking about. He was going shot for shot with the great Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, same difference, right?
Though, I'll be honest with you, this was the first time I realized Dirk Nowitzki played for the Celtics. So, that was news to me. I thought he was a Maverick for life. I didn't know you can just loan players to the playoffs like that.
I didn't subtract like 20 years off your face.
But Kelly Olynyk went all Monstars on Dirk and took his towers and then used them in Game 7 for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And Kelly Olynyk had the greatest basketball game of his NBA career.
Easily.
In Game 7.
It wasn't even funny.
Actually, it was the greatest. It wasn't even the greatest basketball game. It was the greatest quarter of his career because he did literally like 70% of his scoring in the fourth quarter. It was him versus Bradley Beal going back and forth in the fourth quarter, and it was fun until Bradley Beal started missing shots and Kelly Olynyk kept making shots, and I was like, holy crap, Kelly Olynyk's about to win a playoff game in Game 7 for the Boston Celtics. It was not fun anymore at that point. It kind of got a little weird for me. It got really weird for me. I'll be honest with you. But in hockey, it's always, the magical unknown player usually ends up winning. R.J. Umberger for the Flyers in Game 7 against Washington years ago. Like, out of nowhere, the players that you don't even think about winning the game for you. Kelly Olynyk, the player you would never think to win. If you would have gave me a list of all those players, Kelly Olynyk would not have been in the top 10 I would have picked for who would have won you that game. So, shout out to another white Gonzaga boy.
Not named Stockton. Yeah, I mean, it was completely unexpected, but
so I don't know.
He showed up when it was.
I don't know how you feel about John Wall. Okay, John Wall went 0 for 11 in the fourth quarter. All right, let's just of Game 7.
Embarrassing. That's terrible.
It's embarrassing and terrible, and it's actually I think he had a great first 3 quarters. Do you think it's worse than? Harden? We were talking about Harden having a bad Game 6. Okay, so you still think Harden's overall is worse. Okay, no.
It still sucks. It does suck.
Because as I said with Harden, I'm not going to judge him off of one quarter. I'm not going to. This was John Wall's best year of his career, and this was the best playoffs of his career. And they don't even have. They're down by 15 points going in the fourth quarter without John Wall last night, in Game 7. So.
John Wall is out there trying now, so that's the difference.
And John Wall did go 0 for 11. It's not like he didn't stop shooting. He kept going.
He just.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that John Wall is going to be... I think that they are going to... Them and the Celtics are going to be the team next year again. The 2 teams next year again. Fighting, as long as John Wall and Bradley Beal stay together, fighting to play Cleveland. I think that Washington is the better roster. Just like Houston, you said was the better. I truly think Washington is the better roster. And I think Washington would have been the better matchup against Cleveland. Even though I think Cleveland beats either of them 4, I think the better chance of going 5 or 6 would have been through Washington because of how deep they are. But Isaiah had a great game. Isaiah's had a great playoff. So I don't want to take anything away from Boston by saying John Wall not showing up in the fourth is the difference. But John Wall, I mean, he was the only reason they were in this game. So obviously him going over for 11 and then them losing by 12, 13 points, that is the literal difference.
He also didn't have Kenny Olynyk out there who was helping.
Who ended up, destroying him in the fourth. I agree. And there's a whole assortment of things that got you to that point. But I just, you look at it, I mean, this was John Wall. This is John Wall's franchise. This is John Wall's time. This is his, he's entering the prime of his career. This was his statement to be a top 3, I think he's a top 5 point guard. But he was trying to prove he's a top point guard in the NBA, as a lot of people like to say. Like, I don't think he's a top point guard in the NBA. I think he's a top point guard in the NBA. I don't think he's the top. My point is, like, this was his time. I agree with that, but this was his time, this was his moment, and it just didn't happen. I just feel, I like that I haven't seen too much backlash, like, the Harden backlash, because I think it was worse on Harden the next, and I think it was more justifiably worse on Harden for all the reasons that we pointed out. Yeah. Do you think this, though, because this is one of those things, like Game 7, first time of your career that you, like, are the bust. I mean, he had to wake up sick the day after that. This is one of those games that affect your career, either propels you to be more determined and never have something like that happen again, or just makes you go off the face of the earth. I think John Wall's going to go propel. I think he's going to end up being great and continue to do what he's doing and get even better. I think this is going to drive them moving forward playoff-wise.
I don't think he's on a level where it's like we're saying, oh, well.
He just disappears, right?
Yeah, and no, I don't think it's like...
I agree.
I like the Harden thing, again, I think that, well, for me, that's why I'm at with Harden. If it happens next year, then it's like, okay,
you think Harden's
Wall,
peak
what's going on?
has happened, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Where you think John Wall can still ascend.
Yeah, I think they can, yeah, absolutely.
And I agree with Harden. I don't know if Harden disappears, but I agree that out of the 2, John Wall's the one that's going to ascend without question. Right. I think this might be Harden's peak.
He hasn't hit his level. No, right.
I agree with that.
So they'll be all right. They should be all right, especially in the Eastern Conference, and especially, like you said, Boston. that's going to be the competition. I don't know about Cleveland. Who knows what's going to happen in the years to come with them?
Right.
They're going to start to tape off at some point.
At some point, yeah.
So
LeBron's 14 years in.
Easily, Washington and Boston should be a continuous thing for the next
Here's
3
my
to 5
thing.
years.
And I'm not trying to. Obviously, the East is
Garbage.
Not, they're a balloon anyways. It's just a bunch of hot air. But these two teams were so bad, not just against each other on the road, all season on the road, last couple of seasons. Washington is the worst. Literally the worst team on the road in the NBA this season. They gave up 120 plus points in the first 4 games the first 3 games. The first 3 games in Boston, they gave up 120 points in every single. I think they gave up 117 in Game 7. So almost 120 points in all 4 games on the road. That's not bad. At the end of the day, John Wall could have had a good fourth quarter. You give up 124 times on the road. You don't deserve to win the series anyways. That, but it's also alarming on the other end that if you scored over 120, you scored almost 120 in 4 games, it still took you 7 games to win. That's alarming for Boston's side as well. That just means how bad they are on the road as well. I can't explain it because basketball is the only sport that it seems to affect home and away this much. It has nothing to do with fans. It seems with the court. And
I don't understand it either.
I don't understand it because I've never seen the landslide so far apart.
And it's everybody.
It's everybody.
It's every team. Every team struggles at
Cleveland
on the
was
road,
2 under on the road. Now LeBron sat 6 road games, and they lost all 6 of those. So there's your difference right there. But even so, they were only 4 games over than if LeBron plays. Like when LeBron played, they were only 4 games over on the road. I don't understand it.
I mean, obviously they play a lot more games in the NFL, but I would think that. I would think that the percentages are even higher.
You base percentages on
right? I would think that the percentages are even worse for the NBA as far as
it's way worse.
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
It's by far, and
I don't get it now.
Baseball isn't even close to that. Baseball, actually, road teams for some reason win more than home teams. Basketball is the complete opposite, and hockey is hockey year to year changes all the time. But basketball consistently road is not good for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the way the court's designed. I don't know if it's the 7th player on the bench feels better when he wakes up in his own bed instead of the hotel that night. I don't know.
I don't know.
How many? If I started just listing off the top players for Cleveland, how many players would I have to get to with excluding LeBron? LeBron stays on the team, but you just start saying this guy like Kyrie gets hurt from injury, Kevin Love gets hurt from injury. I don't know. J.R. Smith gets hurt from injury. How many players do I have to start eliminating before you get to Cleveland loses the series against Boston?
It's correct.
Do you think LeBron could do it by himself?
No.
Do you think if it was J.R. Smith, Richard Jefferson?
Maybe, yeah. You know what? Yeah, maybe.
So do I.
It's not easily, but I mean,
I think he could do it himself, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's scary.
I don't know.
Do you think Boston has a chance to win a game?
Yeah, I'm not going to disrespect them and say it's going to be swept. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think
at all.
Swept.
No, not at all.
I think it realistically. I think it goes 5.
I think that's the more realistic thing to say. I still think, obviously, I just don't know who's going to stop LeBron is the problem. Obviously, especially with that small lineup.
It's going to look really weird.
I said Washington. That Boston has. Who's sticking him? Who is the lockdown defender on Boston? I do not know. I do not have that answer.
Jay Crowder?
Right. Maybe. I don't know.
It's going to look
it's
really
a legitimate
weird
question.
in the fourth quarter because, Isaiah's going to have 37, 38 in 3 quarters, so then LeBron's going to have to eventually guard him the way he did Derrick Rose at some point. It's going to look really weird with LeBron guarding him because you have a 5'8" guy and then LeBron who's almost a foot, literally almost a full foot taller. It's going to look really weird when we get to that point in that series. I'm with you. I don't think... LeBron, the difference of him in the playoffs from regular season LeBron is he plays in the paint more. He'll body down people way more, offensively and defensively.
I don't know who's checking that.
Nobody.
Al Horford ain't checking that.
Al Horford isn't going to handle that. No. And Jay Crowder is going to do his best, but not
Kelly Olynyk.
Right, exactly.
It's just not. It's not possible.
And then you're going to have to figure out how to bang down low offensively against him as well, and that's not going to happen either. So I'm with you. I think it's Isaiah's going to be scoring 30+ a game. He's going to make a lot of jump shots. LeBron's not going to patrol the perimeter that way. It's going to. I think he's going to go all over the outside.
Have 2 opportunities if they don't steal game 1 just because of the Cavaliers being tired or something.
The way the Golden State came out, like you pointed out.
They have an opportunity. I think they can get 1 at home. I think Boston can definitely put 1 at home. So
they have the home court advantage. I mean,
that's an even bigger thing. See, I was sitting here thinking that that the Cavs. That's right. They're not the number 1 seed this year. So even more so, yeah, they can easily go up 1-0.
Yes. In Boston,
or at least be tied up 1-1, easily. I don't think they drop both. They're not dropping both. No. You know what? Yeah, Boston's definitely getting at least one of the first 2 games easily, in my opinion.
I don't think. I think I.
We're not easy like they're going to beat them up, but I think they're easily going to get one.
I truly believe that Cleveland should sweep them. I think it goes 5. I think we're talking nose hairs here at this point. It doesn't matter. We both have Cleveland winning, right?
I would love an upset. Not even just because it's the Cavaliers, but I'm saying in general. Just give me an upset, just to give me something exciting to talk about in the playoffs, please. NBA, please.
So.
Because is the Spurs really an upset even? I mean, kind of, but no.
Sort of. I think it's a pretty big upset, honestly.
Can I be honest with you?
I truly think this is the Warriors are the best team ever. I think this is like talent-wise. I'm not saying it together. I don't know if they beat those 90s Bulls teams. I'm saying talent-wise.
Yeah, depth-wise. Yeah, it's not
I think this is the best team of all time. Yeah, it's easily the best team that I've ever seen.
It's the Western Conference All-Star starting lineup.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then you got an All-Star on the bench. Iggy. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
True.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to argue.
Remember when they used to try to run their offense through Harrison Barnes?
Yeah, how mad is he right now? I mean, Matt Barnes came back, so I'll shout out to him. He's still looking for Upper Barrett, but, we're not going to talk about that no more. Matt Barnes out here saying, I'm about to get my ring too.
You know where I'd be. Derek, you know where I'd be.
We're hiding behind Shaq on TNT.
And so
Shaq's a big ass man. I don't fault him for that. He's trying to be a sheriff or a cop or something.
I think Matt Barnes is crazy. I don't think Matt Barnes is that crazy.
No. Right. I don't think he steps up to Shaq. No. Sorry.
I think he steps up to Shaq. I think when Shaq looks serious, Matt Barnes decides he wants to be more like Harrison Barnes for a moment. On not really like Matt. He's like, I don't even know Matt Barnes.
Who?
He got the same tattoos as me, they said.
Who he play for? I heard he was a Grizzly.
Yeah, I've been saying that Orlando should retire your number, but I don't know why the Heat in LA gave you so much love. You were a baller with them. So, that's all I got for basketball. That's all you got for basketball?
Yeah, pretty much.
It feels a little empty, but that's the way the playoffs have
Welcome to
left
the NBA.
us. I'll do a quick rundown. I'll do a very quick rundown of the NHL. Edmonton
has it been pitiful?
Edmonton. Oh, it has not. The hockey to me is the best thing going in sports right now at this moment. Edmonton, the team I was rooting for, lost in 7 to Anaheim. The Ducks. I was really hoping Connor McDavid because look, I have kind of conceded to the fact. I'm hoping Ottawa beats the Penguins, but I kind of figured the Penguins as a Flyers fan, just how my luck goes. I figured the Penguins will be in the Stanley Cup, so I was really hoping we would get a Sidney Crosby versus Connor McDavid Stanley Cup. Not going to happen. Shout out to the Predators who are playing the Ducks, though. I like Peter Laviolette, their coach. He was a Flyers coach for a long time. A lot of Flyers fans felt like he should not have been fired. I'm one of those fans who would have liked to seen him get a couple more years. I thought their best years since the early 90s were with him. Anyways, so he has coached a Predators team that really, has never had much success to the Western Conference Finals, and they have an opportunity here to go to the Stanley Cup. I'm rooting for them. I picked them, I think, more because I'm rooting for them, and I think that both teams are really even. I think that they're an 8th seed, and they've surprised everybody. Laviolette, if they go to the playoffs, he went to the 8th. He was, as an 8th seed with the Flyers, went to the Stanley Cup, and now he's an 8th seed with the Predators, and he is 3 games away from going to the Stanley Cup as of this recording. Yeah. That is incredible. So to do it to 8 seeds. So I'm rooting for that aspect alone, just because he's the 8 seed and to say he did that. The year that they did it with the Flyers, they were down 3-0 to Boston, to the Bruins, and they came back and won the series 4-3. It was just a magical thing. He's having one of those they swept Chicago, the best team in the league, round one. He's having one of those magical type postseasons the way he did back in 2011 with the Flyers. So I'm rooting for them.
Something interesting actually happened in the playoff.
Yeah, and the amount of overtime games that have been in the playoffs, the amount of the Penguins
should be the playoffs.
Penguins Ottawa
season. I don't understand. The NFL and the NBA is just crap right now with that. They really are.
Penguins Ottawa was 2-1 in game 1 and 1-0 in game 2. It has been. And one of them went to overtime. It has been so tight. I love playoff hockey because even if 3-goal games feel very tight, feel very tense, and
Right.
you know, it has been incredible. So I'm picking the Predators. I'm rooting for the Predators. I think that's why I'm picking them. I'm just rooting for whoever wins the West probably to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, why is that?
As a Flyers fan, anybody with Penguins, so I'll take Ottawa even if that's how it happens. Yeah, salty fan, very salty fan. I like Ryan on Ottawa as well. He's a New Jersey kid, grew up right outside of Philadelphia. So I've followed his career since he was young. So I'm rooting for Ottawa, obviously, in the other series. I picked the Penguins, though. The way Crosby was playing going into this, even though they lost 2 out of 3, they ended up winning Game 7 when they lost 2 out of 3. The Game 7 was the one they won, and that was the one that mattered. Crosby, I know, hasn't played as well in those 3 games that he did, and then he hasn't played all that well in the first 2 games. So that's 5 games now that he hasn't played all that well. They've scored under 3 goals in all 5 of those games, which is very alarming for the team that I'm picking to go to the Stanley Cup. But I do think that they do correct that. Crosby gets back to where he was. Malkin...
He's slacking.
Yeah, he is at the moment, but as the best player in the world. But that's something that I like about hockey is that Ottawa figured out a way to kind of, in those first 2 games, hold him. And they figured out a way to not, like, their goalie has been incredible. They figured out a way to not let pucks behind them from other players as well. So that part of it's impressive, but they are focusing on him a lot, which is going to open up so much for the Penguins going on the road here. We'll see going forward. It's been crazy, though. So if you're not watching, if you haven't been watching, as I tell you every week, go watch it. It has been incredible. It's been fun. Every game has been tight. Even the not tight ones have felt tight throughout most of it.
And there's enough good going around that it's like it doesn't even faze you.
Yes.
Like it's just
if there's one bad game in there, then it's one bad game in there at maximum.
Wishing it.
Yeah, the 7-1 or the 7-2 game that where Edmonton beat the Ducks to go to Game 7. Like that's the biggest game.
One bad game.
That was the worst game of the entire playoffs,
Right.
and that it wasn't even bad because they scored five goals in the first period, and we were fascinated watching it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my little NHL roundup. Moving forward, I want to quickly, because something big happened over the weekend in the MLB. Derek Jeter, his number was retired at Yankee Stadium. He was the last single-digit number for the Yankees to be retired.
Nuts.
They are the obviously most historical franchise, in my opinion, probably across at least America, maybe across the world. I mean, them or Man United is up there. But for them to retire, they have the most numbers in the history of sports retired. Another face in Monument Park, which is obviously a big deal for Derek Jeter.
Face looked like shit.
Yeah, it did. I don't disagree.
Just sad. I was like, wait,
it's cool to see the 2 out there.
Who's that?
The plaque didn't look all that good.
Who's that? Looked nothing like him.
I agree.
I forget who it was that was saying this, but I'm in agreement with whoever it was I listened to was saying. I was like, we've been doing these things for how long?
Somebody's got to figure it out.
Right. Then these bronze, like we've been working with bronze for life.
Like Babe Ruth.
Like what is the issue that this keeps happening?
In the 50s?
And why not just redo it if it looks like crap?
I agree. And
who's reviewing it? Somebody has to approve it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't disagree.
Especially when it's for life, like it's there for life. Get it right.
So, Derek Jeter's fascinating to me on the sense of he is a player that comes from an organization that nobody, unless you like them, likes. Do you know what I mean? Like you are a Cowboys fan, you are a Lakers fan. You understand that unless you are a Cowboys fan or a Lakers fan, everybody else dislikes them. He is a player who was liked by everybody on a franchise like that, which is, especially out of all of those are very hard to do. Kobe was hard to do. I like Romo. Romo was hard to do. Jeter, I think it was harder for him than anything else because the Yankees are the biggest and the most hated, I think, out of all of them, as much as Dallas and the Lakers are hated. I think the Yankees just have the most hate due to numbers.
Yeah, Jeter, it felt like he got more crap out of New Yorkers than he did from anybody. I never heard anybody not Yankees fans talking crap about him for real. Like, if they did, I don't remember it.
No, he got more of a pass from the outside, from people who weren't Yankees fans than Yankees fans. I agree with that until later in his career, and then Yankees fans were just, he couldn't do no wrong, as he should not have been allowed to do no wrong. He is the most storybook career in the history of sports. I mean, he's probably the most him and Brady but I think him more than Brady, because as a young kid, he grew up a Yankees fan. He didn't want to play on his Little League baseball team because the league he signed up for didn't have a team called the Yankees. The team he got picked on was the Tigers, and he told his mom he didn't want to play because he wasn't a Yankee. He ends up going to the Yankees. He ends up being the shortstop for 20 years. He wins 5 world championships, only missed the playoffs 3 times, 20 seasons, never a losing season. Batted
That's nuts.
Batted over 300 his first year in the league. Batted over 300 his last year in the league.
Was his last year a losing season?
No, they didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
But they still won more games. Yeah, he never had a losing
Okay.
season in 20 years.
Jesus.
They were 2 games above 500. I think that was his worst season. That was their worst season with him on the roster.
That's gross.
So he batted 314 that year, and I know he wasn't as good as Jeter usually is, but he batted 314 that year. Like, no, the 300 is incredible in general. So the consistency of him from 20 years was impressive. What he did, he was Mr. November. He made the big plays in the World Series for them in the late 90s and early 2000s. His 2000th hit was a really momentous one. His 3000th hit, he hit a home run. The story of that was it was a Sunday. They were about to go on the road on Monday, and if he needed 2 hits going on Sunday. And if he didn't get the 2 hits, he was going to do the hit on the road. And all of his momentous moments of his career to that point were all in Yankee Stadium. Right. Every big hit, literally all the World Series they won, all in Yankee Stadium. Every momentous moment of Derek Jeter's career is him in the white pinstripes in New York in the Bronx on that field. So that day it was really tense because they thought he was going to end up getting this 3000th hit on the road. He ends up going 5 for 5. The 3000th hit, the second at bat was a grand slam. It's just the most storybook career of all time. His last ever at bat is a walk-off double in extra innings of the last day of the season.
But they let him do that.
It doesn't. There was a runner on second. Whatever. I don't care if they let him do that. They didn't let him do everything else. Look, and his 2 most overrated plays to me are the flip in Oakland, which I know it saves a series, and you can give me all your crap all day on Twitter that you want to. He's a shortstop. He was out of position. They didn't practice that in spring training. I don't care who lied to you. As the Yankees claim they practiced that in spring training after that game. That's a lie. That's a lie. He was not. He was just out of position, and he made a good play while he was out of position. And the catch against Boston, where he caught it and ran 12 feet and dove into the stands, and then ended up bloody. He didn't have to dive into the stands. Those are the 2 most overrated plays. The one where he caught it against Boston, and then he fell into that. That was he needed to catch it, and he fell over that, and he ended up holding on to it. That was more impressive to me than either of the other 2 that are played on loop. And that one never gets played for some reason. I don't understand. I think it's because it was like his 3rd year in the league, so they don't not as much footage, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, not to take Derek Jeter anything away from him. He started the Players Tribune, which I think is the best sports website going right now because it's players talking to us instead of talking through the media to us, and that was a big thing for him. I think you see a whole different side of Derek Jeter because of that website, which is his own website, so that makes sense. Kobe uses it a lot. I like reading their pieces. I could go all day about Jeter and how great it was. Babe Ruth is the greatest player of all time. Babe Ruth is going to be the most famous of all time. I think the best New York Yankee of all time was Derek Jeter just because if you take into every little thing he accounted for in the era that he played at the time for the New York Yankees when they were a bad franchise for 12 years before he got called up to the majors. Next thing you know, 20 straight years of no losing, they become the only thing in baseball royalty. When there was a couple teams before, now they are the only team in baseball royalty. So he was on the bad end of a couple deals. The 04 Red Sox coming back down from 3-0. I mean, there was definitely a couple moments through his career where you were like, they lost the 2001 World Series to the Diamondbacks. I mean, but he still, in those series, you go back, Derek Jeter was still Derek Jeter. He was the most consistent Yankee through them. Moving on from Derek Jeter and the Yankees, another one of these big entities that everyone likes to hate. My favorite, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The thing I wanted to say.
What do you think to talk about these? Like it's mad. What?
Notre Dame is the only big school independent anymore. They're not in a conference, and
that's what I heard.
The chatter for years has been, well, they need to get into a conference to give themselves a better chance to make it to the playoff. Well, now that there's a playoff. I don't disagree that they get a better chance if they get entered in because right now, basically, they have to go undefeated or else they can't make the playoff. I mean, if they lose a game, there's still a chance. They can still get voted in because it's by humans. But the only way for them to really get in ever a sure bet is undefeated. Anybody a sure bet, but them more than anybody else because they're not in a conference and there is no conference play and a million other reasons. I understand it. I get it. 2 things. Notre Dame gets so much money from NBC for being independent. If they went to the ACC, they wouldn't get. I think we've talked about this before. They wouldn't get the deal, the contract that they get from NBC. NBC is paying them a lot of money to do this. So they have the best. Like they built a brand. They didn't build Notre Dame Stadium is still Notre Dame Stadium. It just has a ton of things built around it, and then a new field. They built a new tunnel for the away locker room. They put a whole new away locker room in. They added like 30,000 more seats. This contract TV deal is literally what is funding all of this. This is Notre Dame is getting better facilities for players to come. Because 10 years ago, you would think as big as they are, they didn't have top of the line facilities. They had some of the top of the line facilities, but now they have top of the line facilities where now everyone, this TV deal is important in the sense of it's helping their athletics. Their basketball team has become much better. Their hockey team is always a top 5 hockey team. Their lacrosse team wins plenty of national championships. Both their men's and women's soccer team. All of this comes because of all their athletics facilities and sites. Now everyone doesn't want to just come there to play football, even though that's what we are mainly concerned about as fans.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This TV deal has helped the entire university athletics, but on top of it, it helped them academic-wise too, with a million other reasons, with research and things that I'm not necessarily as knowledgeable on, but I know it helped out with. Mm-hmm. On top of it, the football team alone, as a Notre Dame fan, I know there will never be a time, even if they leave this NBC contract and go to the ACC, there will never be a time that I won't be able to watch them. Every single game of theirs will be broadcast on TV. The point is, there will be an opportunity for these networks to not air them if they really didn't want to. Now, I understand I know the argument is every Cowboys game, you can find, when they are good, they are on TV every single, I get it. The Lakers games.
They're on one or bad.
They are. And Notre Dame would be as well. Don't get me wrong.
They have been, yeah.
I don't, the TV deal helps them so much, and I like that they are the only college team in America that has a TV deal.
Do you want them to compete or no? Do you want them to go for a championship?
They already go for championships. They already compete. Being in the ACC last year wouldn't have helped them any better.
Well, supposedly it does.
It wouldn't have helped them.
I don't know.
It would have helped them. People claim that it would help them 2 years ago, but the thing is, 2 years ago they lost to Stanford. The thing is, okay, so they lose to Stanford, they get their second loss 2 years ago, right? And they were in the top 4 before their second loss, because everybody had a loss at this point. So they were in the top 4. They lost to Stanford. The claim is that they had a good enough record that they would have been in the ACC championship then, and then if they go to the ACC championship, they would have been playing one of the teams in the top 4, Florida State. So then, presumably, if they could beat Florida State, obviously they're in the top 4, and everyone, for some reason, links that as the only reason they need to go to the ACC. My argument to that is, what if they beat Florida State, and then Florida State has 2 losses, Notre Dame has 2 losses, and that year TCU, who only had 1 loss, but was also left out of the playoff because there was 5 teams with 1 loss, Florida State being one of those teams. But so Florida State would have a second loss, Notre Dame already had a second loss. Now TCU jumps in the top 4. Notre Dame doesn't even get in the top 4. So the entire argument becomes invalid if that were to be the case. I agree, chances are the humans vote Notre Dame in, A, because they're Notre Dame over TCU, and B, because they would have had a tougher strength of schedule at that point, and all those logistics. But point being is, there was no guarantee for them to be in the playoff if they were in the ACC and win the ACC championship. So I don't find that to be a bulletproof plan. And why would you give up all this money and all these things that are helping you support these things and getting the Under Armour deal and all these just good things for the university and for the actual program of Notre Dame football itself? I don't understand. To me, it just makes no sense to go into it. They are a network. They are a whole thing. They have now deals that we can watch their behind the scenes stuff. NBC Sports has a whole thing for them. Showtime has a whole thing for them because they're linked up with NBC. There's a whole just entire thing that goes with this. I don't know. And part of it is the arrogance of if Notre Dame joins a conference, then what holds the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 to just pull away and become their own league, which that opens up a whole new can of worms. Notre Dame is the, right now, glitch in that plan, and I understand the glitch in that plan holds these players from not getting paid, and I'm on the side of the players getting paid, but the players getting paid through a league where it has the Big Ten, SEC, Pac, everything I just named, is that's really bad for college football as well. That's a whole different topic. But so I don't want that to happen for that reason on top of it. So I want them to stay independent, do their thing, go undefeated, make the playoff that way. Stop crying. Notre Dame hasn't even been, outside of the year that they went undefeated and lost to Alabama, and then 2 years ago, they haven't been in a position in the last 20 years to be in that spot anyways. So this moaning that everyone's doing, I'm more like, shut up and win games as a fan.
But actually do that first.
And then if it does in 10 years continue to hold them back, and you really have enough proof for me that is the reason that they haven't been in a playoff yet, then yeah, you know what? I will be giving you any real option and realistic, whatever. Just get me in the playoff at that point. I understand, but until you can give me some foolproof evidence, we're 3 years into this. I don't know. That's not a plan. That's not a guaranteed plan. So
try winning some damn games first.
Thank you. Losing the amount of games they did the way they did last year is not acceptable in the first place. I'm more concerned about that than them joining the ACC or not. I'd rather them keep doing what they're doing. they have been moving in the right direction. Last year was a bad bump in the road. I don't think moving to the SEC changes them getting better or worse, though. It's not going to help them win football games on the field, and that's what I'm concerned about. Continuing with football. Okay. Last topic of the day. Mm-hmm. Something that you and I have spent a good amount of time on. Something you and I have become, I guess people would call warriors, or I don't know. Just we're on a side of the fence with this.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a warrior. I'm not really fighting for anything.
I'm not fighting for it either. I'm just pointing it out.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, just give me some answers. Stop ignoring me and give me answers, females. That's all I'm asking for.
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah, what about him?
Still not signed. A couple weeks out from the draft.
I hear he sucks at reads.
Had his best year as a quarterback last year. I find it very reckless that these NFL reporters have been, because no scouts have gone on and said this, no GM has gone on any record and said this. It's all just been NFL reporters. I find it very reckless that they've been saying those things, considering he has gotten better. Like, the weird part for me for Colin Kaepernick, right, is, and this is adding to the hardness of what's going on. His worst years as a quarterback were his most successful years with a team as a quarterback. His best year as a quarterback was his worst year as a team as a quarterback.
Right.
It makes it even more difficult then to try to add that up, because he was already somewhere between a bottom 10 starting quarterback in the NFL and a top 10 backup in the NFL, right? He was already lying in that area without any drama, which is ridiculous how we have to put drama around this, but drama.
Right.
What people don't understand is, like, my problem with the Houston Texans not ever reaching out to him, and I know they went out and got Watson, who I like, and a guy who I think can compete, and I agree. Colin Kaepernick is who you're telling me I can have Colin Kaepernick and Watson compete for the starting job in spring ball, and I you don't have to explain it. I agree. Colin Kaepernick would be a great addition to the Houston Texans. What people don't understand about that is, when you look in the Houston Texans owner box, McNair, sitting right next to him is George W. Bush. Do you think George W. Bush wants Colin Kaepernick on his favorite football team? Do you know what I mean?
It's not about knowing else. I don't know what you're talking about.
But the politics in this are the reason he's not a Texan. They are the physical reason the Texans never called. I can point to them because, literally, what else would it be?
And literally the only people that's saying that that's not the issue are the ones that had an issue with it.
Well, they're white people. White people are the only people telling me that Colin Kaepernick isn't getting a job due to societal issues. And usually when that's the case, usually that means the societal issues are the cause and effect. Like I always say, my judgment on racism isn't what I see on basically an individual moment. It's the reaction of when only white people are telling me one thing and everyone else is telling me another. That's when I know for a fact something is racist. And right now, the only people telling me Colin Kaepernick doesn't deserve a job for the 100th time are white people, which that makes me know this is a white person problem, not a Colin Kaepernick problem.
And you can't even, nobody's even giving me anything that is just okay, right,
realistically.
Nothing. It's nothing but blanketed statements that are just okay, I can apply that to anybody in any situation, any quarterback. I can literally say that about. But what factual evidence do you have when I literally make a Facebook post of 6 paragraphs with 4 of them being factual information with statistics and evidence?
Nobody had anything
proving
to say.
You right, ironically. Proving to you that he could at least be on a backup situation. Instead, people want to say, well, he doesn't want the money, he doesn't want the role, he has too much of an ego.
What can I? Because I want you to keep telling me what people are saying. Let me give you my rebuttal to that. He was on an interview last week, and his exact words were, "Nobody has called me to find that out. Nobody has called me to find out what kind of money I would take, and nobody has called me to see if I would be willing to be a backup." Also, the he's not dedicated to football thing. His personal trainer says they work out 5 days a week. They don't take any days off for 5+ hours, and the things that he's doing on weekends, the reason he takes the 2 days off on the weekends is because he's going to places like Chicago and doing charitable things with Chance the Rapper. He's doing things in San Francisco, charitable things in the inner cities. Those are his days off. So, but people, because when he does that, people start, remember, just 2 months ago, oh, well, they don't know if he's focused on football. Even though during those reports, he was working out for 5+ hours a day, training like he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Still has not gotten a phone call.
I don't know, somebody's lying out here, and I just feel like we all know who it is, but we just won't admit who it is because the
media
and these brainwashed people are letting this just role, and I don't understand it.
We both think that
Well,
there
I
is
do
no
understand
other.
it because it's the man, but whatever.
We both think that we have explored every option, and we both think that there is really no other reason that he's not on a team.
He can't be a third string. I don't understand.
We agree
this
with
shit
that.
Is stupid. And and people will literally still have an argument with you about it. I'm kind of exhausted about arguing it with these people. Seriously, I don't even argue it. Just humoring and reading
saying.
or listening to. It's just because you're not saying anything.
You can't name 64 better backup, better quarterbacks playing in the NFL.
No, you can't.
In the Arena League, you can't name 64 better people on this earth right now that are better Colin Kaepernick at playing football.
I don't get it.
At playing quarterback.
Everybody's opinions, everybody's facts that they're using are mostly just their opinions that they're using as factual evidence when it's just no, where are you getting this from? What the hell are you talking about?
He would be a great fit for the Jets. He'd be great to push the Jaguars for the starting spot. He would be great in Texans, as I said. He could easily win Cleveland's starting position. They took a chance on RG3, but they won't take a chance on him.
That blows my mind.
And I'm not just going to bash. This isn't bashing the Cowboys. This is because I will start going to other examples. But Greg Hardy was supported by the Panthers and the Cowboys after he threw a girl on a gun full of beds, pointed at her, said he was going to kill her, this, that, and the next thing. Ray Rice was supported after the video. Before the video came out, the Ravens were still supporting him. No, full well knowing he knocked her out. Full well knowing he beat her up and knocked her out. They still were supportive of him. They were going to support him after that 4-game suspension, but because the 4-game suspension wasn't enough after the video came out, which is a whole different story. And then the people, the humans, had their issue. So then the Ravens started backing off of that. But he was still supported. The Vikings still supported Adrian Peterson after he physically hurt his son. And that's a whole different story for another day. But again, physical violence here. Pac-Man Jones still has a job after 5-6 arrests in the last 7 years.
Because
Joe Mixon.
Because they're actually good. Colin Kaepernick is any good.
Colin Kaepernick is as good as all the players I just named. And maybe not Greg Hardy. I'll give you Greg Hardy was a special talent compared to the rest of them. And Adrian Peterson at the time was a special talent than the rest of them. But Pac-Man Jones is better than Colin Kaepernick at his position? Pac-Man Jones is a very good cornerback. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He's a good cornerback. He's a solid cornerback on a good team and a good system.
I'm listening and seeing those names. I'm just he wasn't better.
Ray Rice was still supported after he knocked his wife out. Yeah. I like Mike Vick. I was glad that he got a second chance. I think he paid his dues to get a second chance. Why are we comparing Colin Kaepernick to those things is my issue. That is my...
Because we have nothing
else. He took a knee. He didn't physically hurt anybody. He didn't fight dogs. Why are we talking about a second chance and distraction? He didn't do anything. Ali. Man. Ali. Ali. I don't understand. I am open to the fact of if he was a bad quarterback, him not having a job because of it. The problem is people aren't open to the fact of the NFL might actually be blackballing a guy due to societal issues.
No, we're completely ignoring
because
it.
They don't think themselves are racist, or they can't believe that people that they know could be racist to the point where he couldn't be allowed into it. So because they can't look in the mirror, look in their friends in the eye and believe these things because that's who they like, and they are so one-sided about these things, they will come up with any idea in any way. And as you said, I'm just tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing anything other than the actual words out of Colin Kaepernick's mouth, the actual actions out of Colin Kaepernick. And why didn't either of us before the weekend, I guess because they had Tavares Jackson or whoever it was, I think it was Tavares Jackson that got arrested. Why didn't either of us before the weekend see the Seahawks as the team that would be perfect for him? Pete Carroll, the against the machine guy, who I do not like, but he is the against the machine guy. Their GM is a against, I don't care what you have to say or think about me guy. He looked Pete Carroll in the eye one day and on the job, and he said, I'm drafting Russell Wilson somewhere in the second or third round, and he will be your quarterback next year. And Pete Carroll already signed Matt Castle to this huge deal, and Pete Carroll goes, okay, that's their GM. So you're telling me he has a I don't give a F mentality. Pete Carroll doesn't have a I don't give a F mentality. That locker room, you see them arguing on the sidelines and hugging 2 minutes later. They are a different breed up there right now. He would fit perfectly with them. And he has their respect from playing them the way he did when they were at their height. Because unlike all these people tell me he ain't good, they think he's good.
You mean tell me, and even especially as a backup situation, you mean tell me, so if Wilson
goes down...
He would be
perfect to replace Russell Wilson.
You don't trust Colin Kaepernick to come out there and have a drive or 2 or 3 or whatever will be a quarter. You don't trust that might actually work. I feel like that would be the perfect backup. Who do you put back there? Do you put You put Matt Hasselbeck back out there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a completely different system.
They feel like they are a
they're the same
championship-worthy team.
Right.
So if their quarterback goes down, that's the only way usually teams aren't championship-worthy team. Right. They are probably licking their chops right now that if they get Colin Kaepernick and their quarterback goes down, they still could probably at least have an opportunity to compete for the championship. What was my biggest knock on the Seahawks last year? Russell Wilson was running for his life, right? I kept bringing that up every single week. That Russell Wilson was running for his life. He was playing the best quarterback that he's played in his career, but yet he was still on the run all the time. They didn't have an offensive line. They didn't pick up much offensive line. They drafted one guy. So it's not like they got much better in that department. So he's still going to be running for his life. Yeah, most likely at some point. And yet because of distractions, they're thinking about signing RG3 or Colin Kaepernick. That's my point, is that there's actual discussion right now, should they sign RG3 or Colin Kaepernick. And people can literally look me in the eye and truly tell me that they think that RG3 has higher potential for this season if Russell Wilson goes down than Colin Kaepernick. I don't think so.
I don't get it.
I get that RG3 was in literally the two NFL franchises that if you are a good quarterback, you will never be known as a good quarterback because you play for the Redskins and you play for the Browns. I do understand that those two franchises are the worst for a quarterback. And I do think that RG3 has talent somewhere in him if he can stay healthy. I do believe he can be a quarterback that can take people to the playoffs. We've seen him do it on his own. I do believe he actually has developed the knowledge up top to start staying in the pocket more and throwing better and still using his feet properly, because the last couple of games that he played with the Redskins that they allowed him to play instead of Kirk Cousins, he actually did ball out in those games. I do believe that there is a spot for him in the NFL. I do believe that he is not as good as Colin Kaepernick, nor did he show me enough that I would think between the two, if you're basing it and you didn't tell me names and you didn't tell me distractions, you didn't tell me anything, that there's not a person in the world that would say, I want the guy with that skill, Colin Kaepernick's over the guy with RG3, from what you see. It's mind-boggling that it's even a conversation.
Yeah, we just want to keep ignoring the fact that that these teams aren't owned by these old rich people that literally, like, the league is ran by the owners. It's no secret, but for some reason we like to ignore it. Like,
I'm not fighting for Colin Kaepernick himself. I'm fighting for the sense of you and I would never get held back from a job because of our social beliefs. I don't think that he should get held back from a job from his social beliefs, especially a job that we have seen players not get held back for legal issues, for physical violent issues.
I'm sorry, it wasn't that serious. I'm sorry.
Like, it wasn't that serious.
I don't have to agree
we didn't agree with what he did.
Right. It's not that serious.
Or how he did it. We agree with what he was doing or why he was doing it. We didn't agree with how he was protesting.
He wasn't out there sticking up his middle finger. Whatever. Like,
we are two people who... Yeah.
It wasn't that serious. It was not that serious. Yeah. That outrage was absolutely abysmal.
I completely agree.
It was stupid. It was just like, okay, yeah.
It's not something I would do. It's not the way that I would raise the awareness. And I think we are both... please try to keep our politics out of our sports because we go to sports to get away from the rest of the world. But since before we were alive, the day that Ali didn't go and do that, politics were mixed into sports because of that. Since that day, it has been there's nothing you can do to change that. Politics and sports will always combine. The first pitch at Yankee Stadium after 9/11, the flyovers at all the football fields after 9/11. Politics and sports will always combine. Because of what happened with Ali. I mean, obviously, eventually would have at some point, but that is the landmark of the turning corner of it. So no matter what, before I got to it, I'm not going to be able to fight that. But instead of fighting that, the people next to me I work with might not have the same beliefs as me. They might do that kind of thing. They might do something that I don't personally agree with or how I would do it, but it's not going to stop them from getting a job. And this is stopping him from getting a job. And that is my bigger point, bigger issue, that the NFL can literally blackball somebody for this, but they will draft a Joe Nixon. They will support a Ray Rice. They will be okay with the Pac-Man Jones. That's what I don't understand or agree with, is that that's overlooked due to talent. But this is the one.
Allegedly.
This is the one situation that due to talent isn't. He's not overlooked for his talent. It doesn't make sense to me.
Sometimes when you can't point out the obvious to me, I just have to assume, and I just go with it.
I think that Colin Kaepernick does get a job. I think that unless it's with the Seahawks, I think unless it's with the Seahawks, he's
going to get one. But
I think unless it's with the Seahawks, I don't think he makes a team though because it's so far into camp. The only other team, the wild card that I want to try to keep everyone's eye on, the Bills are looking to move their quarterback. So I do think, I don't know how Sean McDermott would do this, the head coach of them, but he was the defense coordinator for the Panthers, so he's seen Cam Newton for all these years. So I think a style of quarterback that can move around a little bit. But Kaepernick was a better pocket passer than he was a runner last year, even though he had a game where he had 100-plus yards running. He was much better in the pocket, which I always argue Cam would be better off if he learned to be better in the pocket than running the way that they run him. So I'm not saying McDermott would be against it. I think McDermott might be able to use Kaepernick in a different. Oh, anyways, point is there might be an opening in Buffalo here in the next couple weeks at the starting quarterback position. If he does not end up as a backup in Seattle, I think that would be a great landing spot for him.
Somewhere, he's gonna get a job.
Yeah, we hope. So
we just need to stop playing stupid in this country.
Well,
stop playing ignorant. Just saying. Stupid.
Next week we will probably have most likely the Stanley Cup teams decided, so we'll be able to preview that a little bit. Maybe we'll have something in baseball to talk about. The Cubs have been sliding, so maybe we'll get into that. Basketball.
They'll be in their game twos. Right?
Basketball will be somewhere in game 3 and 4. So we'll definitely be able to talk about another 120 minutes worth of basketball between now and our next show. I mean, that's it. It's been a good show. I feel like that was a solid one. We got a lot in. Maybe hopefully we'll be talking about Kaepernick being signed. Maybe. Maybe. But you know, and the draft lottery.
That is happening.
We will have
drama with that. I'm sure.
We will, I'm sure, have a little segment talking about that.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
So, until next time, thank you for watching JD Sports. Trust the process.
Peace out.